Hello, so my name is Dee Dee. I am a somatic nurse practitioner and a mind-body coach. Now, before I started doing this work, I worked years as a paramedic on the front lines. My husband is a retired firefighter, and my best friend is a retired EMS dispatcher, and she still works as a medical assistant on the front lines now, and her husband is a police officer. I kind of know the toll that this work can do on the mind-body system, and that includes your physical health, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. So this is why I am focusing on working with frontline workers, because of the experience I had myself and what I have seen and witnessed from my loved ones and from my friends and family on the job. This is why I'm focusing on this work to help frontline workers navigate stress and reduce the possibility of becoming burnt out on the job. Now, I will say that I didn't technically get burnt out on my jobs, but I definitely accumulated a lot of stress in my body that made me hit a wall where it was like, I have to stop doing that type of work. I love this work. I think it's important work, but I also know that there's a lot that could be done for frontline workers that we weren't taught in school or taught on the job or even encouraged to do. So this is what this program is about. I'm going to be sharing a pathway that I created for my program, and it's a larger program. I call it the Diamond Program. But this portion of the program, I think it's the main part of the program that is like the heart of it. What's going to help people decide what they want to do with their stress. So as I mentioned, I think a lot of us are taught to just handle the stress. You know, keep yourself together, just let it come and just handle it. That's it. But we're not taught how to release the stress. Stress is something that happens in a cycle. And when we handle it, we just trap it in the cycle. And then sometimes it can create more cycles. So a lot more stressors build on top of each other. But releasing is a whole new concept. It's really not a new concept at all. We've just never been taught about it. Is when you get a stressor, it goes through the cycle and it releases. And the next stressor comes in, releases. So a stressor is what something that happens that makes you get ready for action, right? When you get ready for action, there obviously is a cycle of the stressor's gone. Okay, I'm going to release it and calm down and restore. So the stress cycle is really an important concept to understand. We want to provide you with simple tools to be able to manage. I won't like saying manage. I like to say recognize stress and figuring out what works to get you to release it so it doesn't build up. So essentially, we're going to be looking at how to go from handling it to releasing it. So we're going to get right into the next topic. Now, you will see me pop up some slides here and there, but I think that's so impersonal. So I'm going to keep myself on the screen as much as possible, and then I'll just throw a slide up just so that you know what I'm referencing. We're going to go on to talk about the cost of chronic stress. When we think about the handle, we hold the stress, and then the stressor can be put somewhere. Let's do a bucket for an example. You take the stress and you put it in the bucket, and over time the bucket gets full. And sometimes when something gets full, it may be like shakes a little bit before it will start to break a little bit or even explode. The stress that goes in, short-term stress, can result in, it's a little irritating to hold all this stuff. So you might get a little fatigued and tired of it, but you might get irritable towards other people or towards yourself. And of course, with this also, you may feel the tension within the bucket itself. Now, metaphorically, I'm talking about the body, but we're just using this as an analogy to understand that stress gets built up and put into a bucket, and it's like, So we're trying to prevent that. Now, long-term stress, when it goes from this kind of shaking, then it starts to do a little bit of like breaking and gets stuck in some places, and things will kind of crack and wounds will start happening. So then you can develop trauma, right? So there is stressors, and then there's a buildup of stressors. It becomes chronic, and then it can cause trauma in the body itself. Long-term stress can cause chronic illnesses, post-traumatic stress disorders. Now, when we talk talk about disorders, my goal is to help you prevent developing those disorders, a condition, a chronic disease, or a mental health disorder like PTSD. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the stress cycle itself. There's a lot of metaphors out there or analogies to reference the stress cycle, and it is just a cycle. You get a stressor, you activate it, you mobilize it, you de-stress it, restore, and then you're free from the stress. So you just continue to go through that stress cycle. But I want to use a different analogy that I have not seen or heard anywhere, but it seems to resonate with me. And it's this. If you think about a heartbeat, if you look at a heartbeat, it has a nice rhythm to it. In order to have this happen, it needs some energy. So energy is stress, right? So we have the do, and it goes and restores. A normal rhythm would be something like do 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 do. So a normal rhythm, a rate and rhythm, would be anywhere from 60 to 100 beats per minute. You can think of the heartbeat as a completed stress cycle going into the next stress cycle, into the next stress cycle. When we have cumulative stresses that are too close together, your heart rate's going to go faster, like sinus tachycardia. It's still a normal rhythm, but it's going faster because things are getting too built up. And then over time, that can lead to a kind of erratic, too much. It starts to get like really shaky, like in SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, fancy words, right? But you can think about looking at the rhythm and saying, oh, am I completing my stress cycle by allowing my heart rate to be normal? When you work out, your heart rate goes up. That means there's more stress in the body. But the fact is that you work out and you kind of come out of the workout and you restore and it goes back to normal. When you are under a lot of chronic stress and it's causing the system to be too much in a heightened state, it means that you don't go into a rest state. So that is where the difference would be. Yes, there is stress in everything we do. Can you go from a fast rate to a nice rhythm rate later? So that's the analogy. I hope it resonates. Maybe it doesn't, but you can just reference the stress cycle. I'll put a picture up here of the stress cycle. A stress cycle is a stressor that activates your system, gets you ready to mobilize it, move it, and then deactivate it and restore. It's a full cycle. And if that cycle doesn't complete, it gets stuck in your system, in your mind-body system. If you think about stress, and I like to do this often throughout the day, is where am I holding stress in my body? And everybody can kind of figure out something that makes some stress. Are you holding it in your face, in your jaw, in your shoulders, or you're holding it in your gut? Like finding out where the stress is. So that's a subjective thing, like it's your experience. I don't know how much stress you have, but if I were to give you a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being no stress, 10 being like the worst stress ever, and I ask you to rate your stress wherever you find it in your body now. So that's an objective piece of data that can, okay, all right, so what can we do with this number? And how can we work with it that's going to meet your needs? We're going to go to the next slide, and I'm just going to give you a picture of the slide, just so that you have kind of an idea where we're going with this. This one is an introduction to the safety, ready, reset, go pathway. And this is a practical system for managing stress in real time. All right, so I want to talk about stress management. Stress management has been used many places in healthcare, in part of your orientation, and just kind of a pass-through type of like, you manage your stress. Here are some tools and go on and manage your stress. So I'm not here to tell you how to manage your stress. That is not what I'm trying to do. That's something that you do on your own. Nobody can tell you how to do that. And that's my opinion. But what I am trying to do is to give you sort of a practical pathway or kind of a structured pathway where you can reference it to look at the stress level, see if it's in its right content, and how do we move it through, and what's our next step. And it should pretty much be relevant to where you're working, because especially for first responders, you know, you get ready, set, go and do a call, or you get ready, set, go to see the client or patient, whatever that is. So it's kind of a nice way to remember that it kind of applies to our job anyway. Safety, ready, reset, go is the way that I'm naming it for this particular pathway, but it's just a pathway. It might be a structured pathway that I'm offering you, but really it is something that you can test out and then find out what works for you, because you may start anywhere in that pathway. It's really up to you. So the intention for this pathway is to help you reduce the stress or the chronic stress and overwhelm from stressors. We're going to be talking about this first letter of the SRRG. The first thing we're going to look at is safety. And we're talking about the internal safety and also the external safety. When we think about safety, we think about getting on scene of an environment and we look around the area. So that's situational awareness, right? You're looking to make sure everything's safe. There's nothing dangerous in our environment. So that's a nice way to get yourself to be safe in your environment. So we start outside and we look for 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, any of those things. So those things like I'm scanning the environment to make sure that I'm safe. And then when you know that you're okay on the outside, then we can start to turn inside and see if we're safe inside. Because if you don't feel safe inside, what's happening? The stress cycle starts to activate. But you already said, oh, the environment said that I'm safe, so I'm okay. What's going on in my body? Am I unsafe in my body when I arrive at a patient or a client or on scene of a fire or a car accident? Am I safe? My environment's safe. Everything's put in place. Okay, good. How am I doing? So the safety inside of your body, if your stress cycle is going so high, you start to shake, you can't think straight, that type of thing. So now we need to try to attend to our internal world to bring the stress level down just a little bit. And one way we can do that is to connect with your breath. Your breath is directly connected to your nervous system. If you did not have a nervous system, you wouldn't be breathing, and vice versa. So they're very much connected. If you want to learn how to find a breath pattern that works for you, there are tons of breathing exercises out there, and I'll show you a few in a little bit, one in a little bit, but it's trying to find out, okay, so am I having shallow breathing? Can I slow it down? So it's just becoming aware. How am I doing right now? Slow it down, so that my nervous system can help me think. Because that's one of the signs of stress in a stress cycle, is that it puts you in a state of readiness and it takes it away from your thinking. Because you need all this energy to get this body going and ready, right? But if you can relax the body, and then you can think. So just noticing externally, I'm safe. Internally, do I not feel safe inside? How can I get myself to feel a little safer? A simple 2-3 second okay, I'm okay. And now we're going to get to the next one, which is ready. And this is a really important step because it gives you a preparation to the work you're going to do. You know, all the education that you've been in, you had to get the equipment, get your radios, get your bulletproof vest, or get your oxygen tank, your helmet, all those things. You get ready, you get prepared. A part of the education that I think is important when it comes to the stress cycle and learning about stress and how to release stress in your life or out of your body is to learn about your nervous system. Now, the nervous system is very complex. There are 2 big main branches, and I'm not going to get into it, but I am going to look at one specific part of the nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. And many people hear terms for that, but I want to start off with the 4 F's of a stress cycle. F for the first one is freeze. When a stressor comes at you, you take a moment and you just hold yourself and you scan the area almost like a deer in the headlight. You take all the information in. You're just getting ready. Most people start in this phase. If you don't and you go right to another one, that's okay too. It's just a normal way of saying there's the fear or there's the activation. It's like when you get a call, go to this, you just kind of look at the radio like, what are they saying? If you freeze, if somebody asks you a question and it takes you off guard, you go, that's what a freeze would feel like. You see what areas in your life that you find yourself with freezing, and how long do you need to be in that freeze before you take the next step? And then the next step is we decide what we're going to do with that information. The body gets set up and it's mobilized and ready to go, and it's going to decide what it's going to do next, which is either to fight. So I'm going to go to that call, or I'm going to not go to that call and drive home. we're going to fight. So you either drive to it or drive away from it. So that is the fight or flight. So first we get into the freeze. Then we get into which way do I want to go? Then we're going to decide if we're going to fight or we're going to run away and flee. Are you a person who gets on call and it shocks you what you see, and then you say, I got to fight, I have to do this. So you have to fight yourself to get there. Or is it somebody like, I'm going to stand in the back of the room. Hey, can you go over there and tend to that guy? You're fleeing away. Neither one of them are right or wrong. That's not what I'm saying. The thing about our work is we get to a point where you get used to that. It's part of your work. I mean, we handle stress much different than civilians or the normal population. We get to a point where we just get used to it. I mean, I don't know if you can ever get 100% used to our work. It depends on what particular line of work you're doing. But when you're a first responder or working on the front lines, it's always an uncertain area. But then you start to get comfortable with uncertainty, which a lot of people can't do in outside world, is that uncertainty really causes a lot of fear. We condition ourselves to deal with the fear, right? The fear can then turn into the next F, which is fawning. And fawning is really thought of as people pleasing. I'll do whatever you want despite taking care of myself. And this is a really important one that I have come to recognize. I'm guilty of all of this, not doing what I'm supposed to do, but fawning. Let's get to fawning. Fawning is a way of, instead of being a people pleaser, you're a work pleaser. And I'm not pointing at you and telling you this, but this is the general kind of idea is if I'm doing something for you and I'm forgetting myself, then I am pleasing you. So it's either work or another person. This is a really interesting part because it's kind of like, well, I got a job I got to do and I got to pay my bills. And it's important that I keep this job because I love this job. And I have to do whatever they say, no matter what. Let's go, get to the next call. Come on, bang out as many calls as you can. See how many patients you can see in the hour. You need to fill up your schedule, all these things, right? And you just do it because you just want to please them because you want a good performance review. You want to get a raise. So all these factors come in play. The thing is that when we do this type of fawning, we start to build up the stress in our body because we're ignoring us. We're ignoring who we are. We're ignoring where home is in our body. I'm not even saying fawning is right or wrong, but if just trying to get an idea or help you get an idea of what the body feels like and how you present yourself, it's just becoming aware. All right. So this is the preparation, like, how do I show up in my stress cycle? This is a lot of information thrown at you at once. Maybe sitting back and just kind of scan your body. Where's the stress in your body again? And then from 0 to 10, what are you rating it at now? So having awareness of where your nervous system is, then we can start to think about where do you want to be at baseline. So we did safety ready. Now we're at reset. And reset is actually resetting your nervous system. If we can now turn off the sympathetic nervous system to activate the other part of the nervous system, the parasympathetic, bring that up, it will start to balance itself out, okay? One way to do that, again, linking to the breath, but we're going to do a little bit of an exercise called the physiological sigh and physiological shake. When you think about energy, it builds up. It's just energy. Stress in the nervous system is energy. So if you have all of this energy going, now we just need to kind of move it out. And the best way to move any kind of energy is to release it, get it out. So you can shake a little bit, shake out, and then you can think about taking 2 quick inhales in your nose and a longer exhale with a sigh. Physiological shake gets extra energy out of your body, and then inhale through the nose and a low sigh activates the other part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, what I will say about shaking is that people may think that is strange. Maybe it's because you just don't want to draw attention to you. They'll think it's stupid, whatever it might be. But your body needs it. And I'd like to normalize that if you want to shake yourself after a call, shake yourself. Go to the, don't go there. Okay, don't go there. But Go to the bathroom and shake your body. Just shake your body, shake your hands, shake your legs, get it out of your system. And just notice if things start to release and you don't feel as tense with so much energy in your body. Physiological sigh can be done anywhere, nobody knows it. So you can do it in real time, any setting. Maybe you don't have to make the sound, but you can imagine making the sound. Some people like to take inhales in and kind of do a straw through the mouth, like sort of like a what we would coach somebody who has COPD in, is they would do pierced breathing. So 30 seconds, 90 seconds, reset the system. Okay, we're going to get to the last one, which is go. So we did safety, ready, reset, go. Now go is where you have already done all the work. You've learned and prepared yourself, and then you found out that you're safe, and then you reset your system. You decide what you're going to do next. And this goes into a fork. Fork is you go right back to work. You've taken care of yourself, release, you just go to call after call, but you go in between and you do these steps between calls, between patients. So that prepares you to go there and come up to another stressor that may come to you. And by the way, we need stress in order to go into the room, right? We're just trying to avoid it building up over time. The other pathway is more of in-depth knowledge, learning how to heal the built-out stuck stress that's in the body and the trauma. So there's two pathways. Some people don't want to go here yet. They don't want to start doing the deep healing. I totally get it. It took me years to do that. But I wanted to know how to manage my stress going forward. Going through this stress cycle. And sometimes you need to work with a practitioner to do that. We're always going to be doing this during a session. But if you would want to work with me to go on deeper transformation and changing and healing, then that's where that other path is. So when you get to the go, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go, and go to the next call. If you do not feel ready to go, then we need to cycle through the whole pathway. So you would go, okay, I need to get myself ready. I'm going to just ground myself for a moment. All right, what do I need? What do I need? Anything? Do I need any knowledge? Do I need to protect myself somehow? Am I safe in the moment? Take a deep breath. Do I need to shake something out? Okay, I'm good. Then I can go. If you're ready, you'll have no problem going through the cycle and releasing it. If you're not ready, then don't go until you're ready. But if you go through the cycle and you come to this fork, and you see this other pathway, which I call the somatic door, soma's door, that's going to be towards healing chronic stress and chronic trauma. And trauma can be anything from your past. It can be a big event. It could be trauma that is from chronic stress itself that has caused a lot of sort of wounds inside your body. So essentially, go is stay regulated and return to work. And then the second pathway to go is seek deeper healing. All right, so there was a lot of information and talking, and I'd like to be able to offer a practice, and it's going to be about 4 things. It's going to be a quick little 1, 2, 3, 4. See if it works for you. It's really important to hold on the stuff that works and get rid of the stuff that doesn't. It doesn't matter, right? But these are known, proven in research to work, but not everybody fits in research. Let's give them a try if you're willing. First one is the physiological sigh. So let's do 2 rounds. Taking 2 quick inhales and sigh out with a long sigh. Let's do that again. Inhale, quick. You don't have to do the sigh. You can just blow it out. I do one more with the straw. You could even do the pierced lips. So try which one works for you. So that's the first exercise. The second exercise, it's called the butterfly hug. And many people know about this, but I think if you're working, this may look a little weird to some people. But if you don't care, then you can give yourself a hug, or you can just cross your arms and squeeze in, or you can just tap opposite sides. It's called butterfly technique. You just bring awareness to your body. It's a soothing and it calms your system in real time. If that is something you don't want to do, and no, I would not sit there at work and do this. No, that's something I wouldn't do, but I do want to offer some options. Like one of the things I used to do is I take my fingers on my chest and I would just tap. If nobody knows you're doing it, I'm just kind of tapping your chest. So those are things that you can do. again, shaking it off your body. If you have an event that really puts you into a heightened state, take a moment and go to the back of the truck or go into an exam room or go into the bathroom, wherever you can go, and just shake it out and say, whew, that was intense. We have to be careful about shaking in the environment, because it does maybe draw some attention, and we don't want people thinking that, you're a mental health patient that needs to be seen or draw attention to yourself when you don't want it, right? So do it in some place that feels good. The last one is, I like to do it this way. What's the stress that serves me, and what's the stress that doesn't? What can I let go of, and what do I need to keep me going? Because we need stress to do our work. You can't do work without our stress. We have to have it. It's when we have too much. What can I let go of? So that can be sort of like I guess you could say an affirmation, or kind of decoupling, or splitting apart what you don't need. You can name it any way you want. But this is a nice way to say, what do I want? What do I not want? Okay, I don't want this. I'm just going to keep this. Okay, the last thing is call to action. Action means, are you ready to take the next step? If you want to work with me to release stress continuously and to go towards deeper healing, when you release stress, you're healing. But there are some things that might be stuck a little bit deeper in the mind-body system that needs a little bit more guiding and coaching to release it. And then there might be some wounds that need to be healed very patiently. So that's something that we could do. If you're interested, I do offer a free one-on-one connection call just to connect and see if, what are you looking for? We both kind of make sure that we're a good fit and make sure that we're the right setting and that we can provide you what you need. The second thing is to work with me, and you can work in my mind-body program, which I call the Diamond Framework, which includes what we covered up today. So it's a little bit of a taste of what we would do in the program. Now, a program could be, you can do one session with me and decide if you want to do another session, or you can do a package deal. I do 4 weeks. You can do a 4-week package plan. Sometimes people will go to 8 weeks, but it depends on what you need. I recommend people doing an introductory one with me first, so that they can see that I'm a good fit for you, and that, obviously I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. You can have the sessions on the bus, which I'm in right now. We drive to a location in New Hampshire. We drive to a park, or we drive to people's homes, as long as there's parking. You could also do it online from anywhere. And then the last thing I'll say, how do you do that? So you can contact Jen. You can call her directly on her phone. I'm going to list it on the slide here, and you can copy that down. It's 978-226-3274. You can email her, Jen at the Felt Wisdom. That's the name of our practice, is the Felt Wisdom. And again, the office is mobile or anywhere online. And then, of course, the website. A lot of information on the website, if you're interested, is thefeltwisdom.com. If you want to do a little bit of your own preparatory work before you want to work with me, please do. There's a lot of information on there for a reason, to support your knowledge base. I hope that was helpful, and take care of yourself, be safe, and learn how to release stress. All right, take care.